Alright, we are talking Prismatic, speculating builds, a little bit about the day one raid, just a tad. Because this is crazy. So I'm sure everybody's already seen this, or at least most people, and if you haven't, here it is. This is the Prismatic deep dive. It's not a leak, it's not data mined or anything like that. This is Bungie put this out. It's on the bungie.net. Everyone has access to this. Nothing crazy, right? These are things we know we're going to get with Prismatic. So this is all guaranteed. I'm pretty sure all of this, what says starting is what you get at the beginning of the Final Shape campaign. I'm pretty sure you get all of this by the time you finish the story, the entirety of the campaign. Now, I mention that because I want to go over builds that should most definitely still be possible, and basically what I think I'm definitely going to run in during the day one raid. So, our old exotics, and yeah, we're getting the new one, which is going to let you combine two exotic pieces, the exotic class item, and you're going to be able to combine the core part of two exotics, but as far as I know, those are random rolled. So we're going to go over what we know works. You know, the exotics that should work even while on Prismatic. Now, best example, and what I think my favorite is going to be, is Liar's Handshake. Personally, I've never been a fan of Assassin's Cowl. I do think it's overrated. A lot of people use it for their solos. But with Prismatic, you can get the better damage of Liar's Handshake, the better melee damage, the healing on every other hit, and you'll still get the invisibility with Prismatic, because you can combine Stylus Executioner with Combination Blow. So that's build number one. I'm really thinking Silence and Squall, Combination Blow, Duskfield Grenade, and then Stylus Executioner with Threaded Spectre. You really want to make sure you're combining light and dark abilities so that you can become Transcendent. We know that Transcendent is going to be a mechanic to break combatant shields, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a heavy mechanic in the raid. So be ready with Prismatic builds, and that's what I'm here for. So yeah, starting off with the Hunter, I'm really feeling Silence and Squall or Deadfall. And then Gambler's Dodge, Combination Blow, your jump is up to you. Duskfield Grenade, and then either Winter Shroud or Threaded Spectre. I'm leaning on Threaded Spectre. The Threadlings going after them is just, odds of that being better are higher, but Winter Shroud, if you can get the freeze, you will do increased melee damage. But you definitely want Stylus Executioner in there. And then going down to the fragments, your staples, like the really good ones, are definitely going to be Facet of Protection, because that comes from the Arc subclass, where when being surrounded by enemies, you are more resistant to incoming damage. Facet of Justice, wherever that went. There it is. While Transcendent, your ability Final Blows explode, which is part of the old Void subclass. I say old, oh my god. Facet of Dawn is also going to be really good. Once I find it, I'm blind. There we go. Powered melee hits, so that's going to give you your Radiant. And then Facet of Grace. There we go. Yes, damaging targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence energy. Emphasis on damaging. You don't need to kill. So I'm really feeling the same way that Wish Ender and Malfeasance give you a whole bunch of super energy. Primarily Malfeasance is probably going to be giving you a lot of Transcendence energy. So hunters who just want to build a lot into becoming Transcendent, Lucky Pants still works on Prismatic, obviously. You know, as long as you're using the hand cannon. So that's just another option. Lucky Pants, Malfeasance, Lucky Pants, not Warden's Law. While it does do more damage than Malfeasance, it doesn't hit as much. Malfeasance is going to be giving you more Transcendence with those slugs exploding. So yeah, Lucky Pants, Malfeasance is going to be really good for getting into Transcendent. And yeah, we're going over Hunters right now, but I am going to get to the other two classes for sure. But yeah, the current really good build for GMs on Hunter is using Celestial Nighthawk with Polaris Lance. That's also still going to work on Prismatic. This is Marksman Golden Gun, not Deadshot. Marksman's the really good PvE one for high damage. So you can still use Marksman Golden Gun with Celestial Nighthawk. And then you can do Acrobats Dodge to get your Radiant. And you still want to make sure that you're combining Light and Dark. So you're going to want Withering Blade over the usual Knife Trick. You could also use Threaded Spike. Threaded Spike is also really good. Actually, I'm leaning on Threaded Spike, and it'll also refund your melee energy when you catch it back. So Golden Gun, Acrobats Dodge, your preferred jump, Threaded Spike, Celestial Nighthawk, Duskfield Grenade, and then for your aspects, probably Gunpowder Gamble and maybe Stylus Executioner. Your ignition kills should still count as ability kills, so Stylus Executioner will proc off of ignition kills. And that should be a good combination of light and dark, making you Transcendent. And do remember, Transcendent does give you damage resistance, increased ability regen, and I think that's it, actually. And then obviously it'll let you break those special combatant shields. I'm just going to call them Prismatic shields. So yeah, those I think are going to be like the really good builds on Hunter. Also Orpheus Riggs. Orpheus Riggs is still going to work on Prismatic. So Orpheus Riggs, Deadshot, not Deadshot, Deadfall, Shadow Shot, Acrobats Dodge most likely, and then your preferred jump, Threaded Spike, Duskfield Grenade. I know I keep mentioning Duskfield Grenade, it's gonna be the better one. They did not give Hunters the good grenades, except for Grapple, I guess, if you're using Chitorachni's Facade. But I don't think I would use that on Prismatic. But yeah. And then for the aspects, it's any ability kill for Stylus Executioner. It doesn't have to be like your void abilities. So probably still Stylus Executioner. Invisibility Crutch is just good. And Gunpowder Gamble. Because getting your kills, when you kill a group of enemies inside that Deadfall and it just spreads amongst everything, don't even have to kill, just damage it. It'll spread amongst everything with the Deadfall, and you're just going to get a whole bunch of super energy back. And that's what's really good about Orpheus Riggs. So yeah, 3 builds for Hunter on Prismatic. A Orpheus Riggs, a Liar's Handshake, somewhat giving you the abilities of Assassin's Cowl, and then the good old Celestial Nighthawk build. And then for your fragments, especially for the Celestial Nighthawk build, you actually are still going to get the increases the size and damage of a burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, and increases the size of solar ignition. So you're still going to get that increased solar ignition size. It's going to be really good for the Celestial Nighthawk build. Most of these builds are still also going to give you most likely 4 fragments. That's what's really cool about Prismatic, is that they wanted to give you a reason to use the not so often used aspects and fragments. So they, by combining them together and making them better for Prismatic. All right, and then for Titan, moving on to Titan now, you're getting Thunder Crash to start. I don't think Twilight Arsenal is going to be that amazing. You don't see people running around with strongholds too often, even though I am a strongholds enjoyer. But you're not going to be able to block with these axes. I highly doubt you'll be able to. I don't think Twilight Arsenal is going to be that crazy or meta or anything. But Thunder Crash, Hammer of Soul are probably going to be your best friends. Oh, and Blade Fury, I guess, for the suspend. But Thunder Crash, Hammer of Soul, really good. So what I was thinking of running is I know a lot of people talk about Hoyle builds, Heart of Innermost Light, with like Thunder Crash, Thruster, and then Frenzied Blade, because you have the 3 melee charges still. You're still going to be keeping that. And then most likely your Pulse Grenade or Shackle or Thermite. These are your 3 really good grenades here. And then what I'm going to be running, I know what I'm definitely going to be running is Thunder Crash, Thruster, Frenzied Blade, Pulse Grenade, and then I'm going to be running Consecration and Knockout together, right? Because you can still use that Arm exotic for Titans that buffs your Consecration. Pyrokill Gauntlets, I forgot its name for a moment. Consecration and Knockout. So you're going to have the buffed Consecration from Pyrokill Gauntlets, and it's going to be doing even more damage with Knockout active. And it's going to heal you on top of that because of the Knockout aspect. And you're going to have 3 of them because you have 3 charges of Frenzied Blade. So that's going to be a really good build for Titans. Consecration, Knockout, Frenzied Blade, Pyrokill Gauntlets. And it's also combining light and dark damage if you run like a Shackle Nade instead of the Pulse Grenade, so that you're still getting Transcendent. Obviously, Syntheseps is still going to be really good. Notice that you don't have Throwing Hammer, thankfully, because I think that would have made the class like a little too strong. Not the class, but the subclass a little too strong for Titans. And it would just throw the other classes out the window if this also got Throwing Hammer. So it's good that it didn't, in my opinion. I do like that it's not having that. But yeah, Syntheseps with Frenzied Blade is going to be really good. Maybe Thunderclap if you're running melee regeneration exotics. But yeah, Syntheseps, Frenzied Blade with a Pulse Grenade, and Knockout with Diamond Lance might proc off of just ability kills rather than stasis kills. So probably that. And that's where you're also getting your dark damage in there for Transcendence. So that's going to be really good for Titans. Don't have too many builds for Titans. I don't play it too often. I do play all 3 classes though. And for those who are thinking about running Precious Scars, it's probably going to be based off of your super. A lot of things in Prismatic that were normally like based off of your subclass energy type, this will do that. For Prismatic, it's based off of your super energy type. So if you're going to be using Precious Scars on Prismatic, you will probably want to make sure that whatever guns you're using match your super energy type. And then you would want to focus on weapon things. So probably Dringer's Lash and like Unbreakable. And that way you're focusing more on your weapon kills over your ability kills. And then for the fragments that are going to be really good on Titan, the same ones, the same like staples, which are going to be, you know, Protection, Justice, Grace, and wherever the other one went. And those ones are just going to be really good. But also your Ruin, depending on the build you're running. If you're going to go for Ignitions on that Pyrokill Gauntlet build, Faceted Ruin is going to be another really good one. Now, for Warlock, we're still getting Cold Snap Nade. So keep that in mind. The Cold Snap build is still going to be really good on Warlock, especially if you're going to run Bleak Watchers, Cold Snap, and then you're going to want to run a light ability for your melee, so Incinerator Snap, so that you can go Transcendence. Remember, you still want to combine light with dark on this. And yes, you can do Kinetic to get both if you're running that fragment to maximize your Transcendence, which again is going to give you damage resistance, ability regeneration. You want to make sure you're just combining both as often as you can. Now, Warlock's never really been known for their supers. Their supers are usually really bad outside of, you know, the two, Well and Needlestorm. Sorry, those who are born to Nova Bomb, but it's not good. Needlestorm is better if you really want to run a damage Warlock. But Song of Flame is promising. I think Song of Flame might actually be pretty good. Not so much for, well, actually, and possibly for DPS phase, because you're going to be proccing ignitions, and most of your damage is going to be ignition damage. But I'm thinking either Needlestorm or Song of Flame with the Cold Snap build. So I am forgetting its name. Osmiomancy. The Osmiomancy gloves with Incinerator Snap, Cold Snap, Bleak Watcher. And then probably Feed the Void, so that you're getting your Devour active, and it's going to be any ability kill. Now, I know one of the devs was talking about running Lightning Surge with Arcane Needle, so that you get triple Lightning Surges, which I think is going to be really broken in PvP, but I'm not here to talk about PvP. So we're going to skip right over that and hope that nobody paid attention to that part of the video. But yeah. The Cold Snap build is going to be working really effectively. You're still going to get the increased shadow damage, shatter damage with Faceted Ruin. You're going to have the protection from Arc with Faceted Protection. Those are going to be your really good ones. And then for other builds, you're not getting Well of Radiance. So no longer forced to Well, unless they force you on Solar. Just don't listen to your teammates at that point. But you didn't hear that from me. But yes, that's the main build I have for Warlock. I'm not sure how well like Dawn Chorus is gonna be, because that's just really good on Solar. So certain exotics still have their place on their rightful subclasses, while other builds just get pure buffed by Prismatic. But that's the balance of it, you know? Other subclasses are still going to have their place. So another build for Warlock, there's still going to be your Mask of I Have Another World. I Have Another World, which is just straight ability regen. That was really good on Stasis before there was like, when Stasis first came out for Warlocks and there wasn't really any Stasis-based exotics. That was what people were running for Warlock. Same with Strand, when Strand first came out. Warlocks were running I Have Another World, because it's just a staple exotic. It just does what it does. It's not gimmicky or anything. It just buffs your base kit, right? So I Have Another World has its place. But I think most Warlocks are probably going to end up running the Osmiomancy build. That is what seems to be the case. Alchemy. The Alchemy, I'm forgetting its name. But yeah, the Alchemy chest piece might still be really good as well if you're using Empowering Rifts. And then you can use Empowering Rifts, and it seems like Weaver's Call and Hellion are going to be pretty good there. I know in the video for the release, Phoenix Dive Weaver's Call was being used. I don't think that's going to be super impressive. But that is also an existing thing. And yeah, those are just some basic builds that I believe are going to be used quite often on Prismatic, and what I'm most likely going to be running on Prismatic myself. Hope this was useful, and yeah.